This is the moment that a 48-year-old British NGO worker was arrested. The two girls behind him have been locked in his bedroom for 5 days. They thought he was a doctor. But this man isn't a doctor, he is a paedophile. The day before, he was secretly filmed buying children's underwear. Following his arrest, he is now serving a 12-year prison sentence as punishment for his behaviour.
Mới tới được ọt của ở chân kha chứ nó về giờ cho mới tới vốn có tay nhà số mua dương hai có số pin ni pin nữa chẳng về nó to mẹ rầm kha chứ về đây có tranh thực phép ca để quạt trong rồi bùng pin á về nó ở cặp cậy già qua đó mới tới quầy kha tới chim được tay chứ.
But however shocking, the story of how this man gained access to his victims is not altogether unusual in Cambodia. On the streets of Phnom Penh and elsewhere in Cambodia, a team of specialist agents and undercover investigators are trying to protect children from becoming victims of sexual abuse. They work for an organisation known as Action pour les Enfants, or APPLE, and are witnessing more and more incidents of travelling sex offenders who target unlicensed and poorly run orphanages as a means to gain access to children.
We know that these people are using this NGO background and NGO work to carry themselves up from being detected by the authority. And the investigator can prove that easily when they do this sort of day-to-day investigation on the suspect.
According to UNICEF, only 28% of the 12,000 children living in Cambodian orphanages have lost both parents. Setting up an NGO as a foreigner here is simply a question of filling in a form and paying the registration fee. There are few, if any, regulatory or background checks carried out, and consequently orphanages have become big business and attractive to sex offenders. These images show some of just a handful of so-called NGOs that have been linked to incidents of sexual abuse.
Generally, people would not suspect someone working with the NGO when they are going out with children, hanging out with children, talking to children, touching children, because the general public would have the first impression that this is just part of their work.
This film explores what happens when children fall into the hands of tourists and NGO workers who end up abusing the very people they are pretending to protect. On a dusty back street in downtown Phnom Penh, this undercover Apple agent is observing the behaviour of two suspected paedophiles who are working in an orphanage just opposite from where he is standing. We have blurred his face to conceal his identity.
Sometimes even though to the hotel room, they bring the kid to the hotel room, but the orphanage, the center, they don't care or they don't know exactly about what's going on outside.
Earlier in the week, the same investigator recorded these images of one of the suspects in a public pool with a group of children from the orphanage. Since 2003, Apple have been assisting national and international police authorities by providing them with concrete evidence in the form of undercover video material, which is essential when it comes to prosecuting alleged offenders. Over time, Apple have discovered that swimming pools are a popular choice for suspected sex tourists.
I think the guy who are bring the kid to the swimming pool, they are have like their behavior or the way of their touching the kid are inappropriately, like he tried to pull the children up and some genital to the kid as well, and the way how like he tried to teach the kid how to swim as well. This kind of the way touching is not appropriately way what I see.
Like many orphanages in Cambodia, this one relies entirely on donations from volunteers to operate. Using an undercover camera, we went inside to find out exactly how easy it was to get a job here. Without questioning our background, we were given a tour of the children's bedrooms and were informed that anyone could take the children out for the day. It was just a question of money.
the $20 just only like the kind of the volunteer support to the lighthouse, like to the children, and also if they would like to have more something like buy something for children like food with vegetable. Bring some children visit somewhere around in Cambodia to the small swimming pool, like water park, and also the zoo.
Since 2005, Cambodia has seen a 75% rise in its number of orphanages. Over the same period, the number of foreign visitors has more than doubled. In 2008, the government of Cambodia adopted a policy known as the Minimum Standards on Alternative Care for Children in an attempt to monitor the conditions and practices of orphanages and care homes across the country. But policy is one thing, implementation quite another.
Orphanage, they are not really treated well for the kid, and also they don't really have following the national minimum standard. They don't really have the child protection policy in place, and also in the way of treatment, the kid is not really really good.
Taito works for Friends International, a social enterprise that works to improve the lives of marginalised children and youths. In 2011, they launched the Child Safe campaign, which aims to protect children from becoming victims of sexual abuse. They believe that as tourism has grown in Cambodia, visiting orphanages has become something of a tourist attraction which they are trying to discourage. Today he is delivering leaflets which describe the dangers of orphanage tourism, including the risk of sexual abuse, to hotels in Phnom Penh.
All child safe hotel, certified hotel, we leave all the child safe information, we leave all child safe promotion material. All this material, we have all information regarding to child protection and also what they can do during their stay in Cambodia.
While the government still struggles to uphold the conditions set out in the policy on minimum standards, Friends International believe that tuk-tuk drivers have a major role to play when it comes to keeping children safe.
We're working with them in order to be our eye, to be our ear, because they are on the street every day. In case they see any abuse happening, they just immediately take action by stop abuse, or they talk to the parent, they talk to adult, they talk to the local authority, or they referring to any NGO who are located around their location.
But volunteering in poorly run orphanages is just one of the problems. Just 21 of Cambodia's orphanages are state-run. The other 248 are foreign-funded or faith-based. Here in a shelter for abused children in Phnom Penh, these two boys are now recovering. They were systematically abused by a Dutch national known as Sebastian, who was able to set up an NGO for children despite having a previous conviction in the Netherlands for abusing a 12-year-old disabled boy and possession of child pornography. Even though these two boys were living with both parents, the suspect convinced their mother that they would be better off under his care. When she agreed to let them go, he kept them in a rented room from which it was impossible to escape.
Sebastian had really close access to all the children under his care, and he also had absolute trust from the families.
Despite compelling testimonies from his victims, Sebastian was released from custody due to insufficient evidence. Yet regardless of the court's decision, the fact is that he holds a conviction in Holland for sex crimes and has been banned from working with children between the ages of 6 and 14 years old. Even though these boys are currently in protective care, Sebastian has tried to re-establish contact with them since he was released from custody. They now live in constant fear that he will attack them again if they leave this shelter. Tim is the investigation manager for Apple, and he has been working on this case for over 3 years. Determined to gather more evidence, Tim is now about to make the 8-hour journey by bus up north to the popular tourist destination of Siem Reap, where Sebastian lives.
I want to find out the truth and to find out the justice for Cambodian children. That's it.
Siem Reap's cultural attractions make it a popular destination for tourists, but it has also become a destination for travelling sex offenders. Wasting no time when he gets there, Tim heads straight towards the suspect's house.
That is the location, so I will go there in order to talk to his neighbor, in order to identify more possible victim and witness.
But he is going to have to be careful. The suspect has become aware that his behaviour is being monitored, and he has become extremely aggressive towards Apple staff. Just a few metres from his house, Tim speaks to this lady selling watermelons, who apparently knows him well.
She told me that there are 6 boys here that have good relationship with Saab, and often seen to enter to his room. So the age is ranging from 5 to 11 years old.
The fact that Sebastian is still regularly bringing boys to his home confirms Tim's suspicions.
Just clarify that he touching the boy and he loved the boy and support the boy only, but they never seen he, support or have relationship with young girl.
This kind of behaviour is not altogether unusual in Siem Reap. This undercover video material shows a British NGO worker called Nick Griffin playing with a group of boys in the same river that the Dutch national had taken his victims. This boy was tempted away from his family and went to live in Nick's shelter as he was promised food, books and toys. Eventually, Apple collected enough evidence against him, and Nick Griffin was sentenced to 2 years in prison in Cambodia for indecent acts against a minor. Solicitation of child prostitution or intercourse with a child can mean anything up to 15 years. He served just half of his sentence and was then deported back to the UK. But on arrival in Heathrow Airport, he was arrested by British police following claims he raped a child in 2004 in Wales, where he worked as a Boy Scout leader.
ដោយសារតែរឿងខ្លះបានកើតយូរមកហើយរឿងខ្លះគូមានការផ្ដល់ជាព័ត៌មានពីអ្នកដែលយើងគិតថាជាមន្ត្រីដែលធ្វើការងារតាក់ទងទៅនឹងការផ្ដល់ព័ត៌មានសម្ងាត់
Empowering communities with knowledge and awareness is vital for their own protection. Life with Dignity is an NGO that works with rural communities across the country. They believe that for abuses by NGO staff to stop, it is the communities themselves that must be aware of how they can make complaints if they need to.
So this is the kind of the box, and so who can report, and what kind of report that they can do, and how long does it take, and to respond to the community when there is any kind of abuse by our staff.
But making people aware of how to make a report is one thing. Convincing them to actually do it is quite another.
វាបំពាក់បានពីចំនួនពលពតបានវាបំពាក់វាបំផន់មតិធ្វើឲ្យមនុស្សខ្លាចធ្វើឲ្យមនុស្សភ័យមិនហ៊ាននិយាយស្ដីរាយការណ៍ខ្លាចគេយកទៅធ្វើនេះធ្វើនោះឬមួយក៏
As the number of foreign tourists continues to grow in Cambodia, so too will the number of people wanting to make money from them. For as long as orphanages and so-called NGOs are allowed to profit from tourists, it is the children who will be used to attract them.
Mama. Wapinzambe na yongo asala kilola asali mokili molimo na nzambe katia motema na